Hi, this is Mohammed Sadiq. In this session, we'll learn what is SQL. So SQL is an acronym for Structured Query Language. Is a programming language used for storing and managing the data in a relational database management system. So SQL is one of the standard language used by all the RDBMS databases. It can be databases like MySQL, Microsoft SQL Server, Oracle, PostgreSQL, Microsoft Access, okay? Or you talk about any RDBMS softwares. So SQL is one standard language used by all the RDBMS softwares. SQL is used to connect with the databases for the purpose of storing the data, retrieving the data, updating the data, and deleting the data. So it means it's software which helps you to work with the data, okay, interact with the data. So I can say SQL is one of the most important language to learn if you want to get into work field of data related jobs. It can be a data science, data engineers, data analytics, or any this one. Okay. So SQL helps you to compute and computers to process a very vast amount of complicated data more effectively and efficiently. Okay, so thanks. Fine. So now some of the applications where we can use this particular SQL. SQL is mainly used to gain access to the data stored in the RDBMS. That means in the RDBMS database, the data is stored. I want to gain the data. I want to access the data. We use this. Describe the data. That means you want to know the structure of the tables, what are the columns are there. So, okay, what are the tables are there? You want to see those particular things. Yeah, you can use a SQL language. Define and manipulate data in the database. So that means once the data is stored in the database, you want to do some kind of a manipulations. Like, if an employee's address has been changed, I should be able to go and update that particular address. So SQL is a language which is used for doing this manipulations. So with the help of SQL, we can create the various database objects. Like it can be a tables, views, stored procedures, user-defined functions, and so on. SQL also helps to set the permissions on the tables and the views. Okay, which users, what tables they should be able to access with what privileges. Yeah, we can also do the privilege management. Okay, so this is what is the SQL. So it's a language which helps you to interact with the database. Now, to interact with the database, we use many commands. Okay, and the commands are SQL has many commands, and the commands are broadly classified into various categories. Like we have a data query language. So these are the commands which is used to query the data, okay, retrieve the data from the database. So like we use the select statement, okay, to retrieve the data. We do also have a data definition language. So there we see about the commands which is used to define the database objects. Like you want to create a table, you want to alter the structure of the table, you want to drop that particular table, or you want to truncate. So these are the commands which comes under the data definition language. So these command mainly deals with the schema, okay, structural. That is either creating the object, dropping the object, altering the structure, or altering the structure of the objects. Okay, then we also have a data manipulation language. So these are commands which helps you for manipulating the data. Means you already have the tables. Okay, you want to insert the new records, like say new student details you want to insert. We use the insert command. So a student, whatever his contact details has changed, okay, or his marks has to be updated. So we use the update command to go and modify that particular data in the table. And at the same time, you want to delete some records based on certain conditions. So we use this particular data manipulation language. So we have insert, update, and delete command. And we also have a data control language. Okay, so here we have the commands which helps you to control the database. Like you want to grant the permission to the users, or you want to revoke the permissions. So those are the commands which comes under the DCL. Okay, so SQL has many commands, and they have been broadly classified into this particular major categories. And each categories we have serious sub commands under that. So now in this session, we'll learn about the data DDL and the DML commands. DDL, as I said, is the data definition language. So these are the commands mainly deals with the schema. So you want to create a new table, okay, create a view or a store procedures. We use this particular DDL commands, create, alter, and drop. So first we'll see about the create table. So as the name says, create table. So the command is used for creating the table. Okay. So the create command is used to create a new database objects. Okay. So with the help of the create command, not only you can create tables, you can create the views and store procedures also. Let us see the syntax to create a table in the database. Okay. The syntax goes something like this. We say create table, the name of the table. Then we use those brackets, okay, to define, because the table will have a collection of columns or called as attributes. So each attributes will be separated with a comma separator. So when you're defining the attribute columns, we need to specify the name of the column followed with the data type, what type of values it is going to store. And optionally, I can also give the constraints for that. Okay. And then if it is second column, so we use a comma separator and we can follow it with a multiple columns. Okay. Each columns will be separated with a comma. Let us practically see how exactly we create this. So I'm just opening my management studio. So now let us first create a database. So to create a database, we have a command like this: create database. Say example, I want to create a database with my name, say Sadik. I just run this particular command. As soon as I run this particular command, so it says it is creating a new database, and you can see this command completed successfully. That means a new database is being created. Once a database is being created, you want to create a table in that. Okay, so I have written this particular code to create an employees table in the Sadik database. So for creating a table, the command is create table. These are the keywords to say, okay, I'm creating a new table, which is followed with the name of the table. So I want to have a name of the table as employees. I'm giving the name as employees. And then a table will have attributes, or we call it as a columns. So we need to specify that since it has multiple columns, it has to be enclosed within the brackets. Okay, the round brackets. Then we specify the columns we want. The first column I want for the employee table is the employee ID. I want the data type of this is int, means it allows you to store only integer values. And I want this to be as a primary key. That's an optional constraint. I want employee ID should be unique and it should not contain null values. So I'm defining this particular thing. Now, apart from the employee ID, I also want to have a first name and last name. We can see the fields are separated with the comma separator. So first name is of type varchar, 50 characters. Last name is another column. Okay, again is of data type varchar. So generally, when I say varchar is a data type which stands for variable length character. That means it allows you to store, okay, the characters of variable length. That means what? So I have given 50 as a size. It can store up to 50 characters. But if I'm storing the name as Sadik, which is only 5 characters, it just occupies the space of only 5 characters. It will not take another 45 extra spaces. Okay, so but it can go up to 50 characters. That is what it means. And we have a DOB is a column, so which says date of birth. So this is going to store the value as date. Fine. Okay. Okay, once you have created this, let me run this particular command. I'll just select this command. I'll say, okay, before that, I want this table to be created under this database. Right now, you can see the selected database is master. So first, I need to make this as an active database. So to make this as an active database, we write this command. Use the name of the database, Sadik. Okay, so we have just created this. I'll just select this and I'll just say run. You can see command completed successfully, and you can see this database from master, it has changed to Sadik. Fine. So now what I do is I run this particular command of creating a database here. Select this, say run this. Yeah, command is successful. Now you can see when I refresh here, so we can see that we have a new database called as Sadik. And within this particular database, we'll have a table called as employees. Yeah, so we can see that there is a table called as employees is created. And you want to see the structure of the table, I can just right click, say design, and you can see the structure of the table. It has the employee ID of type integer. It does not allow you to have null values. First name, last name is a varchar 50 characters length. Date of birth is a data type or field of data type date. Okay, or you want to see the structure of the table here. So we can write the command as sp_help. That is using SQL language. I want to see the structure of the table. You want to describe the table. See, when it comes to Oracle, we use the command as describe table. But in what is say Microsoft SQL Server, we say sp help name and then followed with the name of the table. So this is a predefined store procedure to describe the table. Okay, so I say employees. Yeah. So when I run this command, so you can see here, it describes the structure of the table. So here it says we have a table here, employee ID, first name, last name, date of birth, and so on. So all these are columns. And also says the table, when it is being created, the creation date and time, and also all the fields with respective data dates. Fine. So now once the table is being created, okay, now we have seen the structure of the table also. Okay, now I want to add the data into the table. So here what I will do is I'll try to use a DML statement, okay, data manipulation. So with the help of which I can add the data into the table. Before that, I want to see the data in the table here. See, SP help is to describe the table where I can see the structure of the table. But imagine I want to see the data in the table. So I write this command, select star from the name of the table. See, this is one of the simplest query to see the data from the table. So in the next coming session, we'll be learning about this particular select statements. So, but here, I'm just telling select star. Star means get me all the columns from the table. So right now you can see this is the data where I have just created a table, but I have not stored any data. Okay. Now let us try to insert the record into the table. Now, if I want to insert a record into a table, this is your data manipulation language. So for inserting the record into the table, so we write the insert command. So it is used to add a new records to the table. So we have multiple ways to insert it. So whether you want to insert only a selected columns or you want to insert all the columns. Now let us take an example. I want to insert all the columns of the table. Okay. So in that case, what is that we do? I need to know what are the columns are. We have an employee ID, first name, last name, and date of birth. Okay, so my insert query will go like this. Insert into the name of the table. Okay, values and pass the values. So we say insert command goes like this, insert into the table name, values, and then we pass the values. So when I'm passing the values, okay, table has 4 columns, I need to pass 4 values. And for the first column is the integer type, I need to pass the integer value. Second and third is a varchar, and the fourth column is the date. Okay, so varchar is, I'll just say as Mohammed. Okay, I say first name. I say last name is, say as Sadiq. Okay, and the date of birth, let me give a date of birth here. I'll just say as 1975. I see. Actually, see June 11th, 1975. So I'm just passing this particular values here. And if I run this, yeah, one row is unaffected. So now you want to see the data. So we can see here, select star from. So it says June 11th, okay, 1975 is the date of birth. I've just stored this particular data. Now like this, we can add the data into the tables. Now, suppose like, I want to insert data into the table only with the selected columns, not all the columns. So in that case, so we write this particular command here, insert into table name, mention the column names for which you want to pass the values and pass only the values to the respective columns, which is given here. Means, say, I know the employee ID as in first name and last name, but I don't know his date of birth, which I want to add it later. But as of now, I want to store this employee ID and first name and last name. So in that case, what I do, I just say insert into employees table. So then we specify the column names here. So I want to pass the value for the employee ID. Okay, I want to pass the value for the first name. Okay, and I want to pass the value for the last name. Okay, I just want to pass only two fields, say first name and last name. And employee ID in the first name. So, and the last name and date of birth, I might enter it later. Okay, so in that case, what I do, I just say values and employee ID, I just say 2. And I'll just say first name is say Sam. Okay, That's it. So here you can see, even though the table has 4 columns, but I just want to pass only for the 2 columns. So in that case, we say insert into table name, mention the columns for which you want to pass the values, and then pass the values. Okay. So this 2 will be passed to this particular first value will be passed to the first column, what is mentioned in the insert statement. Second column will be passed to the, second value will be passed to the second column, which is mentioned in the insert command. So when I run this, one row is affected. So you can see only the 2 values, other 2 will have a null values. Okay, fine. So this is how we insert a record, either a full record, all the fields you want to insert, or you want to insert only for the selected columns. Fine. So next is, that is the insert command. Next is what I want is, I want to say modify the data in the table. So like example, this particular Sam, last name is not given. Later I say, no, his last name is say Benjamin, say Ben. Okay, I want to store the values. So in that case, that is, I have to manipulate the data. Already I have the data in the table, but I just want to manipulate the data. So in that case, what is that we write? We write an update command. Okay, we use the update command to modify the data in the table. The update command goes like this: update table name, set column name equals value. If there is more than 1 columns, we can use a comma separator and mention the columns with the values. Okay, and you can pass the where condition. Now here I want to update the employees table. Update, what is that employees table? Okay, and what is that you want to do? I just want to set the last name. I just say is equal to say Ben. Based on what you want to update. So whose employee ID is this? So if you want to update more than 1 field, you can update it like this, comma. And I just want to pass the value, like say example, we have Ben, his date of birth is, he was born in the month of July 15th. I just say 1984. Okay, let us take this particular one. Okay, sorry. This is the value for the date of birth. TOP is equal to. So that means I'm updating 2 things here. Last name is equal to Ben and date of birth is equal to the actual one of the date of birth here. And I'll just see this has to be updated for what? Employee ID 2. So you have to use the where clause to filter the record and then update it. Otherwise, everybody will get the same last name and same date of birth. So I need to pass a where clause here. Where. So I want to filter this based on the employee ID. Where employee ID is equal to 2. Okay, so what this will do, it will fetch the record whose employee ID is matching to 2, and then the last name and date of birth will get updated with the new values. Let me run this. 1 row is infected. Okay, fine. After this, when you just go and see the employees table, so we can see that, okay, we have this particular last name, and the date of birth has been updated. Okay, fine. This is update command. Hey, next is like, I want to delete the records. So in the DML, so the next command is your delete command. Delete command is used to delete the records from the table. Okay, from the existing table. The syntax goes something like this: delete from the table name, and we apply the where condition. Okay, so it goes, so imagine like, I want to delete this employee 1. Okay, so what I do, I just say delete from the employees table. Okay, where employee ID is equal to 1. Okay, that's it. So when I run this particular command, you can see 1 row is affected. Means it has affected the records, 1 record in the table, that 1 record has been deleted. You can see employee ID 1 has been deleted. Okay, so this is how we write a delete command. Delete from the table name where, okay, condition. So based on the condition. See, one thing is, if I'm not putting a where, the complete data from the table will be deleted. So you have to be very cautious that whenever you write a delete or update command, ensure that you use the where clause to filter the data and update only those particular records. Fine. Okay. The next thing is, okay, this was about your DML, insert, update, and the delete command. Okay. So the next thing is, We'll study about, DDLs, where we have seen how do we create a table. Now we'll see about the alter table. Alter is what? Alter command is used to modify the structure of the table. Now we know the structure of the table is, it has this particular 4 columns. Okay. It has this particular 4 columns. Employee ID of type integer. First name and last name is of type varchar, 50 characters it can store, and date of birth is date. So now what I want to do is, I want to add an additional columns to the table, or you want to drop that columns, or you want to change the data types. So that is where exactly we use this particular alter table command. Now it goes like this. Suppose imagine I want to add a new column to the table. So we write like this: alter table, the name of the table. Alter table, name of the table. Then what is the operation I want to perform? I want to add a new column. So if you're adding a column, you don't have to use a column keyword, but you have to specify the details of the column, the name of the column followed with your data type size. And optionally, if you want to add a constraint, yeah, you can add a constraint. Okay. So now take an example. I want to add a column as email. Okay. Email ID. Okay. I'll just say is email ID. And I want this email ID is to be as varchar 100. So that means it's going to be lengthy characters. I'll just say varchar of 100. Okay. So when I say alter table, table name, that is in the employees table, what is that we are doing? We are adding a new column which is followed with your data type and the size. So when I run this command, so you can see this is going to, command is successful. So that means after this, when you just write this particular sp help, you can see that a new column is added to the table called as employee ID of varchar 100 characters. Okay. And you can even write a select statement. Okay. Select star from employees. And you can see here, okay, we have an additional column called as email ID. Fine. This is how we add a column to the table. Now you want to modify this particular, you want to drop this particular column. So we use this command, alter table, table name, drop column and the name of the column. This is going to remove the column from the table. Okay. So when I execute this one, you can see the command has been successful and it has been dropped. The column has been dropped. Okay. After this, when I say sp help of this one, you can see that column is no more. Okay. This is what we do in the alter table command. Either you want to add the columns, you want to remove the columns, or you want to even modify the data type or size or anything. So we do it with the help of the alter table command. Fine. Yeah. Now imagine like I want to drop the table. Next real command is drop. So drop table is going to drop the complete table with data as well as the table and all the constraints and indexes, all the associations with that will be removed. Okay. So you want to drop the table. So we write this command as drop table, the name of the table, say employees. So when I run this command, so we can see that command is successful. And now when I just go to sp help or things, it says it doesn't know that table. The table does not exist. Okay. Or even if you say select star from employees, that the table does not exist. So this is how we drop the data from the table. Okay, fine. Yeah. So here in this particular session, we understood what is SQL. SQL is a language which is used to interact with the database and is one of the standard language which is used by all the RDBMS softwares. And we saw some of the commands, okay, like some of the DDL commands and the DML commands. How do we create a table, alter the table, and then drop the table? As well as we have seen how do we insert the data into the table, update the data from the table, and also delete the records from the table. Okay. So in upcoming session, we'll be learning more on the SQL commands. Thank you.